Welcome to this Xtuple Advanced Topics segment. Xtuple can run on a variety of client and server platform combinations. In this segment, we will observe Xtuple running entirely on the Linux platform. That is, both the client and the server running on Linux. In this diagram, you can see that you are never locked in to using just one client-server platform combination. While you can use the Xtuple client on Linux, you can also simultaneously have users logged into the same database on the client of their choice, which also includes Windows and Mac. The look and feel is identical across the Windows, Mac, and Linux clients, so users can easily switch from one to the other with no retraining. Shortly, we will observe Xtuple running on a PostgreSQL server on the Linux platform. However, in the future, you could, if you chose to, seamlessly switch to a Mac or Windows operating system for your Postgres database server. So, you are never limited to just one platform, today or in the future, for the Xtuple client and server. Let's get started. Here we see a typical Linux desktop. Let's begin by maximizing the Xtuple client. Keep in mind that this client is connected to a database which is also running on a Linux server. More on that a little bit later. To look into Xtuple running on Linux, let's open a representative screen. The screen we'll use is the Item Workbench screen, and we'll navigate to a representative item. In this case, we'll use the yPaint item, and we'll look at some of the various options that are available on this workbench. Xtuple provides a variety of workbenches tailored to the needs of different functional areas. So the inventory workbench is specifically tailored to the needs of someone who is responsible for managing inventory. We can see here that the Running Availability tab provides insight into the current activity and planned activity for a specific item. The Inventory tab provides insight into the availability of an item over a specific period of time. So here we can see that over the next 30 days, we start with 30 units on hand, we have none allocated, 100 expected on order as a receipt, giving us the availability at the end of 30 days of 130 units. The yPaint is a component item. So we'll come back to the Costed and Indented Bill of Material tab in a moment and look at that for a top-level item. The History tab is specific to any type of item. So if we put in the first of the year and then today's date and click Query, we can see all of the activity that has transpired for a given item in that period of time, and even filter this by the type of activity that we are interested in. The Inventory Detail tab is specific to items that are lot and/or location controlled. So here we can see that the paint item is lot controlled, and we can see the details of the 30 units that we have on hand and the lot numbers that make up that 30 units. In addition, we can also see the locations that those specific lots are stored in and the expiration dates for each. Remember that the paint is a component item. This means that it is used in the bills of material of higher-level subassemblies and finished items. The Where Used tab enables us to see a list of the items which, based on a specific effective date, the yPaint is included as a component in the bill of materials. Now let's return to the Costed and Indented Bill of Materials tab, and we'll enter an item that has a bill of materials to see how useful this particular tab is. Note that this tab shows us a costed, indented bill of material. That is, a list of component items, subassemblies, and even the components on those subassemblies. It also shows us labor and overhead information and allows us to see what the standard and the actual cost is of that particular item. We use the Inventory Workbench screen to provide a quick look at the look and feel of the Xtuple client running on Linux. There are other videos that show the client running on Windows and on Mac, and you will note that the behavior is identical on each. To observe the Xtuple database running on a Linux-based Postgres server, we will first run a simple SQL query from the command line. Here is the SQL we will run displayed in a text editor. This select statement will retrieve the item code, item description, and quantity on hand from the Xtuple database we were just working with a moment ago through the application client. Let's run it from a Linux command line using the PostgreSQL command line tool. We provide our password, and here we see the results. Notice at the bottom the ypaint1 item with the 30 units on hand. Command line tools are handy, but most users would prefer to use a graphical database administration tool. This is where pgadmin comes in. Here we see the main pgadmin display. It is a robust cross-platform Postgres administration tool, providing the ability to query the database, which we are about to see, but also facilities for backing up, restoring, and maintaining databases, as well as user and group maintenance. We'll begin by expanding the connection to our Linux server. We're working off of a database called Xtuple Linux. Once we've connected to that database, we can then use the SQL query tool. We'll open it up, open up our SQL query. We'll use the same query that we just ran from the command line, and then we'll execute the query. Here we see in a nicely presented window the same data that we saw in the command line. Notice again the 30 units of ypaint1 that we have on hand. Again, pgadmin is a full-function database administration tool. It provides facilities for creating new databases and schemas within databases, creating and maintaining Sloanee replication clusters, deleting and dropping databases, also maintenance, backup, and restore facilities as well. To recap, in this segment we observed the Xtuple ERP solution working completely on the Linux desktop and server platforms. However, you are not locked into a single choice for the client and/or server, both today and in the future. Xtuple provides you with a flexible technology platform that maximizes your ERP investment for the long term. This concludes this Xtuple Advanced Topics segment. You will now be returned to a website from which you can continue on to additional segments.